I have a question for you. When I say Ukraine or the Ukraine war, what picture do you have in your mind? This. I'm not surprised because so far the Ukraine war has had only one face, that of the president, Volodymyr Zelensky. He, in his now trademark military green t-shirt, has dominated the discourse. Also sucked in all the oxygen in the room. He is the face of Ukraine's resistance, and Ukraine is him. Really. Is Zelensky truly the hero of Ukraine? I don't think so. The real hero is on the battlefield, doing the real fighting. Tonight we bring you the story of Ukraine's authentic hero, the man who is fighting the war for Ukraine so that Zelensky can pose for Vogue, travel the world, steal the limelight and stamp himself as the face of bravery. Meet General Alexander Syrsky, the man on the front line. He leads Ukraine's ground forces. It was under Syrsky's leadership that Ukraine had a successful counter-offensive last year. Also, plans to pull off a repeat this year. Syrsky is 58 years old and is said to be an obsessive planner. Analysts say his battle tactics reflect his rigorous Soviet training. Syrsky trained at the Higher Military Command School in Moscow alongside men who are now Russian commanders, which is likely the reason why he knows better than most how to break Russian ranks and its defense. Syrsky was born in Soviet Union in a city called Volodymyr. He has lived in Ukraine since 1980. In 2019, he became the head of Ukraine's land forces. In the lead up to February 2022, when the Russian troops were being mobilized near the border, the Ukrainian general told his troops to remove military hardware from the bases. So that the arms could be saved from airstrikes should a war break out. Well, a war did break out, and we all know that the first fires came from the skies. Day one of the war was all about airstrikes on Ukraine's strategic locations. Syrsky's prediction was right. Also, when Volodymyr Zelensky was playing down the risk of an attack on Kyiv, General Syrsky was actually preparing for the calamity. It was on his instruction that 2 layers of defense were created around Kyiv. He positioned generals at the borders, ensured they were authorized to make tactical decisions. When Russian troops began marching towards Kyiv, a dam in Irpin was blown up. This flooded Russian positions. Ukraine then blew up Russia's pontoon bridge. These moves were crucial because they prevented Russian troops from getting close to Kyiv. And it was General Syrsky who led Ukraine's counter-offensive last year. He was the mastermind behind Ukraine's surprise counterattack on Kharkiv. It was him who ensured that Ukrainian troops held on to Bakhmut for as long as they possibly could. It was also Syrsky who raised Ukraine's flag in the liberated town of Balaklia. What's he doing now? He's working towards retaking Bakhmut. He sleeps just 4.5 hours at night, and the only break he takes is to go to the gym. As Zelensky stands in front of the cameras and on podiums, it is Ukraine's authentic hero who is in touch with Ukraine's ground and military reality. He recently told journalists that Ukraine's counter-offensive is going slower than many had hoped. He's right, but that has not stopped Syrsky from boosting the morale of the Ukrainian troops. He cheers them on daily. He visits them on the ground, on the battlefield, reads their messages. Syrsky is Ukraine's real hero. And you know what? People know this. Syrsky has become extremely popular in Ukraine. Then why is it that you've never heard of him before? Because the Ukraine war has been dominated by one face alone, Zelensky. He's everywhere. From your TV screens to headlines to every big global event, you name it and he's there. From the Arab League summit, the NATO summit, to even the Grammys, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum and the Venice Film Festival. Zelensky has appeared everywhere, soaking in the praise, basking in the comments about his wartime leadership. There aren't many Western parliaments that he hasn't addressed. Let me name them now: the EU Parliament, the British Parliament, the French Parliament, the Parliament of Canada, the German Parliament, the Italian Parliament, the parliaments of the Netherlands, Australia, Belgium, Spain, Ireland, Cyprus, Finland, South Korea, even the Israeli Knesset. Yes, it's a long list. And this is not even half of it. At every speech, Zelensky has tailored his message to fit the audience. Clever. At the US Congress, he invoked the attack on Pearl Harbor. also 9/11, urging the US to send arms to help defend democracy. He quoted William Shakespeare and Winston Churchill while addressing the British leaders, moved the French by recalling Verdun, where the French repelled an assault by Germany during World War I. You see, this is what he is good at. The man is an entertainer turned president. He knows how to act, how to move the audience, which camera to turn to, how to make that face that becomes the face of war. And the West is hands in glove in oiling Zelensky's PR machinery. Because you see, two heroes never make a good story. Like I said, General Zelensky has become extremely popular since the start of the war, so much so that many of Zelensky's allies are apparently worried that Zelensky could pose a political threat to the president. In fact, one report claims that last summer there were some powerful insiders in Ukraine who believed that Zelensky should replace Zelensky. Not shocking, given that Zelensky hasn't really been able to secure what people want, and that's peace. They don't want lectures or arms caches. They want peace, and Zelensky has failed to deliver that. Question is, will Zelensky be able to? Zelensky is trying to play his cards right, or he is being trained to do so by the West that is worried about the possibilities of cracks of disunity. So last year, Zelensky was made a hero of Ukraine, which is the country's highest honor. Recently, he told The Economist, the army is outside of politics. But for how long? The real hero always gets his day in the sun to shine, doesn't he? Well, that's the hope. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.